I'm the ASMR psychologist. Welcome to my channel. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you another psychology tip. And today's tip is a really simple one to help you turn your mood around. Now, if you like this type of video, where I share with you these tips that I use a lot in my sessions, my therapy sessions with my patients, let me know by giving this video an up thumb, and then I will know that you want me to make more of them. Okay, so simple tip. The first thing to keep in mind is that our emotions aren't good or bad, although sometimes it does feel like that. They're signs, signals, and they serve a function. Each emotion serves a really important function that helps us to navigate through life. It's often the case that when we all share an experience, there's a universal experience, nature has had a hand in it, and that it's there to serve us. Sometimes it's difficult to work out what the point of it is, but that's always something to keep in mind. If everyone is having an experience, it's there for a reason. So, over the longer term, it is important to pay attention to your emotions, to understand what they're trying to signal to you, what they're trying to tell you. Because if you don't, and you then don't respond to that emotion, it's not going to dissipate, it's just going to keep coming back. But sometimes we need a quick fix. And I think it's okay when you are living your life, to have a selection of strategies, short term and long term, to help you to feel better. But, and I hope I'm not labouring this point, but this is emotional first aid. It's not kind of extensive therapy. If you're interested in that, if you take a look at my Psychologist Roleplays, I do them one a week, and I go through sort of more comprehensive, longer term strategies for dealing with your emotions. Okay, but emotional first aid. So, step one. There are 4 main emotions, and all the other emotions we talk about are variations on these 4. But I think it's important when we're talking about emotions, because they can become quite complex and overwhelming, to keep it really simple. So we've got happy, sad, angry, anxious. So every other emotion we talk about stems from those 4. So when you're doing this strategy, it really is helpful to try and pull your emotion back to one of those core emotions. It's nice to have lots of different words to describe things, but it can overcomplicate things. And where our emotions are concerned, particularly negative emotions, it's really important to keep it simple, not make things harder than they need to be. Now, of those 4, obviously, one of them we don't need to look at today, happiness. So we can put that to one side and focus on the other 3. So let's just think about, because I mentioned earlier that emotions serve a function. Happiness is obviously about encouraging us to do more of what's good for us, what feels nice. But let's look at the other 3. Because I think it can help sometimes to understand why we're feeling something. that it's not just there to make us feel bad. So sadness, this is an interesting one. If you think about the quality of that emotion, it slows you down, it draws you inwards. It's a sign that something needs to be thought about. There's maybe a loss or a change and you need to reconfigure your life in light of that change. And the sadness is a kind of a way of blocking out external distractions so that you can draw yourself inwards and work out what you need to do next. Anxiety, maybe that's slightly more obvious, that one. We all know that anxiety is there really to prepare us. Whether you're preparing for a challenge, an exam, or just something else that's important, but it also alerts us to some danger that we need to deal with. So it kind of puts us on red alert so we're ready to go and to face it. And anger. That's an interesting one as well, because anger in its pure form, and maybe I'll do another video about anger because it's a slightly more complex emotion, but in its pure form, it's alerting us to some sort of mistreatment that needs to be resolved. And I will make another video on this because it is an important topic, but anger can also be a cover for other emotions. It can be our go-to when maybe we feel anxious or depressed. But as I say, we'll look at that at another time. So, identify the emotion that you're struggling with. And then the next step is to identify the opposite emotion. And be quite specific here. So, sadness would be happiness. Anxious would be calm. Angry would be tolerant. Then what you need to do is you need to make a list, and this will be very personal to you, of all the activities that trigger that opposite emotion. And give yourself a few different options, because particularly if the emotion is intense, you may need to try a few different things. And then the fourth step is obviously to engage in those activities to trigger that opposite emotion. As I said at the beginning, this is definitely a quick fix, but it's quite an effective one. It's your equivalent of your sort of emotional band-aid or plaster, as we say in the UK. It can help you just to get through something. But if that emotion keeps returning, you know that you need to actually address it, to discover the source of it, and that can be found in your thoughts, the way that you are interpreting things. They are pivotal in how we feel about things. And there's a lot more information on that in the psychology role plays that I do. So you can take a look there if you're interested. Okay. But there is your emotional first aid. I hope that it was interesting, helpful, enjoyable to watch. And as I always say, if you fancy some exclusive content or you just fancy supporting me in making these videos, check out my Patreon account. The link should pop up just there. But in the meantime, I hope that you enjoy whatever is coming next, and I will see you really soon, I hope. Thank you for watching today. Bye bye.